जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी यशोधनंदन प्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी यशोधनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोधनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव राधा माधव श्री राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ श्री राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर श्री राधे जय राधा जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताई 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 जय गौरनिताई जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौरा हरि बोल निताई गौर शीतनाथ प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल नमः विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण कृष्ण श्रीमति गोपाल कृष्ण कृष्ण प्रभुपाद साहित्य प्रकाश प्रचारं कृष्ण नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम ज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मां ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14, Ideal Grihastha Life, text number 14. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Siddhar Yajna Vasishtartai Kalpayed Briting Atmana Se Swatpam Jam Pragya Padaving Mahatang Iyat Siddhar Yajna Vasishtartai Kalpayed Briting Atmana Se Swatpam Jam Pragya Padaving Mahatang Iyat. What forward meaning? Siddhai, things obtained by the grace of the Lord. Yagya avashishta artai, things obtained after a sacrifice is offered to the Lord or after the recommended Pancha Shuna Yagya is performed. Kalpayet, one should consider Vritin, the means of livelihood, Atmana, for the self, Sheshe, at the end, Swatvam, so-called proprietorship over one's wife, children, home, business, and so on. Tyajan, giving up. Prajna, those who are wise. Padavim, the position. Mahatam, of the great personalities who are fully satisfied in spiritual consciousness. Yat should achieve. Translation. An intelligent person should be satisfied with eating prasad, food offered to the Lord, or with performing the 5 different kinds of yajna, pancha shuna. By such activities, one can give up attachment for the body and so-called proprietorship with reference to the body. When one is able to do this, he is firmly fixed in the position of a Mahatma. Purport. Nature already has an arrangement to feed us. By the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is an arrangement for eatables for every living entity within the 8,400,000 forms of life. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. Every living entity has to eat something. And in fact, the necessities for his life have already been provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord has provided food for both the elephant and the ant. All living beings are living at the cost of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one who is intelligent should not work very hard for material comforts. Rather, one should save his energy for advancing in Krishna consciousness. All created things in the sky and in the earth and land and in the sea belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And every living being is provided with food. Therefore, one should not be very much anxious about economic development and unnecessarily waste time and energy with the risk of falling down in the cycle of birth and death. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Siddhar yajna vasishtartai kalpayed briting atmana se svatvam tajam pragya padaving mahatang iya. So the whole chapter here explains about the different regulative principles that the grihasta or householder should follow. And this is one of them. Mentions here that he should be satisfied with eating prasad, food offered to the Lord. Ultimately, everything has to be done as an offering to the Lord. Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. It's like in Krishna book or in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. You'll see the word Vasudev with hyphen with the A, Vasudev, and there's Vasudev. That's the Father of Lord Krishna. And as enjoined by the scriptures, that a person who is in the Grihastha ashram, that means a person who is in the householder life, must follow certain principles in order for him to be detached completely from the material world. Uh, Grihastha ashram is like a learning ashram, like brahmachari also, but learning how to become detached. This is the Grihastha ashram. The brahmacharis also, they are student uh, in the spiritual life, and because just like the sannyasis and also the vanaprasthas, they are more geared towards understanding the supreme. This is the position of everyone, especially in the human form of life. How to get out of this material world. And it mentions here in this chapter specifically that one must be performing his occupational duty as a grihasta or as a householder if he is um, following the scriptures, then also he needs to perform his activities whereby the Supreme Lord is the main focus. Householders, this is their first duty to become fully dependent unto Vasudeva. Try to satisfy him in all costs, in all aspects, by executing one's prescribed devotional service. This is the difference between the human form of life and the other forms of life in the 8,400,000 species of life. Agrihastha ashram means an ashram of responsibility. When we say ashram, there are three levels in spiritual life, which ultimately all the sections of this brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas ashram, that they have to fully dedicate themselves. The only difference is that the grihastas, they have this special license for sense enjoyment. They have to somehow try to earn for their livelihood so that they'll be able to maintain their family. However, in the Grihastha ashram, the main focus is that how we can become detached ultimately. As Prabhupada says, that the greatest bondage in the material world is family attachment. Hmm. So, as a grihasta or as a householder, yeah, it needs to find means of livelihood. He requires that. And this is the only ashram that's meant also to provide for the other ashrams, the brahmacharis, the grihastas, and the sannyas. So they have this opportunity to earn for a living, but according to the Shastras, one should not be unnecessarily increase one's material comforts. Hmm. Yes, life is meant to be for austerities. Even grihastas, they should also follow certain program whereby they also have to be austere. Hmm. And at the same time, they have to work. So how can you balance that? Austere means the main focus ultimately is to get out of this material world. But the material world is too entangling. That's why this is the material world. Material world means dukkhalayam and ashashvata. It's full of miseries, and because it is temporary. So the grihastas, uh, they have to learn how to become detached. Everyone has to learn how to become detached, but especially the grihastas, because of this license for sense enjoyment. So it says there that his dealings with the family, friends, and loved ones should be performed, it says here, simply to fulfill their purpose, and one should not be extravagantly engaged in this way. So, how to do this? Because in my travels now, I'm in the Philippines. Um, Everywhere I go, the grihastas in our movement, they're very busy. Too busy that sometimes um, they don't have time for their family. So at the same time, um, Prabhupada says that if somehow one is in this ashram, he should maintain himself, maintain his family, uh, and ultimately one should be giving up possessiveness. And this can only be attained if we focus ultimately onto the Supreme Lord. So, irregardless, uh, because each and every one of us has, we have our own quota, and in the Grihastha ashram, um, sacrificial says here one should perform this five daily sacrifices, but it is mentioned in the next verse. Um, that ultimately, one should maintain oneself, but not be attached to the objects, and only to the extent of filling the belly. Because one can perform the household duties as a householder, and one may be caught up. Whatever is our basic necessities, then if we can attain that, And we should work for that. One should not endeavor extra that one will forget the purpose of human form of life. And one of them, it says here, is especially through eating. Hmm, through eating. And the Supreme Lord provides all the necessities of everyone. Prabhupada gave an example, just like even the elephants in the forest, they've been provided by the Supreme Lord. Uh, Hundreds of kilos of food, especially big elephants. They have a big appetite and they have a big um, digestive system. So, however, everyone is being maintained by the Supreme Lord. They don't have to struggle so hard. They don't have to um, perform work in such a way that this is part of their life. Mm. And they've been provided by the Supreme Personality of God. It doesn't matter which section we are belong to in this 8,400,000 species of life. So the Lord also, as Prabhupada says, the Lord provides for the ant and the elephant. And Purport says this: all living entities are living at the cost of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, one who is intelligent enough should not work very hard. The intelligent enough means in human form of life. Um, Sometimes a person can have two, three jobs, sometimes even four, one full time and then two or three part time jobs. And for them, it seems to be it's not even enough. They'll work so hard that actually, who's getting the money? Only the government. It's like here in the Philippines, I was told that 30% of one's income goes to the government. So practically, one only works for the government. And if there's anything remaining, then they try to enjoy. Uh, Prabhupada gave an example of how a householder should divide one's material uh, opulence, especially the fruits of one's activities. Uh, 50% goes for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. Uh, it's like a Grihastha, it is advised to be engaged in helping the conditioned souls to get out from this material world. Their hard earned living, uh, the cost nowadays is very expensive, but at the same time, the focus of the Grihastha is to help propagate Krishna consciousness and give to the devotees who are engaged in spreading Krishna consciousness. So one should save his energy more in for advancing in Krishna consciousness. And I know some devotees they're doing this. Uh, it says that the family man should engage the wife, especially they should invite sadhus or holy men, and by their association, this is very important, by the association of those who are more advanced than they are, Prabhupada used the words austerities, austerities, oh no, sadhus, sorry, sadhu. Yeah, because their life is involved more in austerities and trying to inquire about the absolute truth. So when the Grihastas will have this association of the sadhus, they will learn from them, the holy men, they will learn from them how to live a life whereby, even though seemingly engaged in material pursuits, that they should not forget the goal of life, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the advantages um, when they hear from the sadhus, specifically because they have realized the absolute truth, then they'll be able to rekindle the loving propensities of everyone. The sadhus, they don't have any other purpose except go door to door to the grihastas and try to remind them the main purpose of human form of life. And by their association, we'll be able to hear about Krishna and his pastimes, his name, fame, form, and qualities that ultimately the grihastas, mm, Prabhupada says in the purport that the attachment towards family members is so thick that it's very difficult to give it up. Um, Prabhupada gave an example of the husband who is very attached to the wife um, materially. So the husband should be able to, by his example, should be a devotee, aspire to become a devotee by performing bhakti, these 9 processes of devotional service, and engage all the family members for the same purpose to go back home, back to Godhead. Um, so one should not work very hard, and just the result is meant for sense enjoyment. Uh, yes, Prabhupada says here in this chapter, especially that the Grihasta, the husband, should engage the wife in entertaining or serving the sadhus, serving the holy men. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna. Am I still with you? Still? Haribol? Okay. Sorry. Someone was trying to call me. Um, the necessities of life should be met, especially by the Grihastas. But by hearing from the right source, from the holy men, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, then or the Grihastas, they will be able to learn how to control their senses, be able to learn how to control the mind, be able to learn how to utilize this human form of life to go back home, back to Godhead. And especially, it says here about prasadam. Again, we go back to prasad or food. Um, it's very difficult, especially nowadays, to follow this process of surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it so easy that says that just chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, offer your food to Krishna, and one will go back home, back to Godhead. One will be able to fulfill one's desire to achieve. The Grihastas, because everyone has to eat, but especially the Grihastas, sometimes they will have this propensity again to be eating for a sense enjoyment. The brahmacharis, they know they only eat from the temple because they live in the temple. Or the sannyasis supposed to be, yes, live in the temple. And the vanaprasthas as well because they travel in many, many places all over wherever there is a need of the time for the vanaprasthas, the retired life, then the husband and wife will just go on the pilgrims, and therefore also they know how to utilize, especially when it comes to eating uh, this prasad. There's a word used here in this purport that um, avashishta artai. Hmm. The one has to perform sacrifice and offer it to the Lord or after the recommended Pancha Shunayagya. So, yes, there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Yagyai Sankirtna. Um, work has to be done as a sacrifice. Yajnatat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tad artam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. So everything should be done as a sacrifice for the benefit of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, one's work will bind one into this material world. So even the food that we eat um, has to be prepared in such a way uh, that it is not for sense enjoyment. Hmm. Hmm. We should also think that the wife and the children in the Grihastha ashram doesn't belong to me. They're not my property. I'm not the proprietor. I'm a servant. And as much as possible, um, everything that uh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, yes, Manasa Deho Geha Jo Kichumor Arpilu Tuapate Nanda Kishore. Whatever is mine, whatever belongs to me, uh, my family, uh, my wealth, mm, everything in relation to this body. Actually, I offer to you. Mm, Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichumor Arpilu Tuapate Nanda Kishore. You should know his position. Even the business, mm, if somehow um, the business that one is having or the work that is having, this also should be utilized for Krishna service. And as we were talking also about food, that's why the food means should be offered first to Krishna. The Grihasthas, this is their duty, this is their main way how they can purify themselves. Mm. Offer the prasad, offer the sacrifice, offer everything. Yat karosi yat nyasi, yat yajosi dadasya. So yes, whatever sacrifice, whatever austerities that we perform, should be offered to Krishna for our own purification. And anyone who performs his activities in such a way, then he's called a Mahatma. Mahatma means a great soul. A great soul means one who is always engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Um, and they are the ones who are only fully satisfied, um, especially in this world, very difficult to attain this satisfaction. And it's impossible. We were talking about that the other day. Material life is difficult and it is impossible. Spiritual life also is difficult, but it is possible. Spiritual life is difficult because it is not our priority. But if it becomes part of our daily activities, yes, then it becomes easy. There are many examples of um, even the Supreme Lord themselves, like Lord Chaitanya, Lord Ram, Lord Krishna. They're also in, they were in the Grihastha ashrams. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he married twice. Lord Ram, only one wife. Ekapatni, and Lord Krishna, he had 16,108 wives, um, 5,000 years ago when he performed his pastimes. It is not so easy, even nowadays, even to have one family of, having two children or three children. Lord Krishna has so many wives and so many sons from each queen. And one of those sons, one of those 10 sons, has also 10 sons each. So the whole aggregate, the whole family of Lord Krishna is quite huge. But he's able to maintain them. He lived as an ideal grihasta as well, waking up early in the morning, hmm, Brahma Muhurta hour. Prabhupada says in the Krishna book that 3 hours before sunrise. Now, there is another statement, or many statements of Prabhupada says that Brahma Muhurta hour is 1.5 hours before sunrise. So the Grihasta should also wake up early in the morning, following in the footsteps of Lord Krishna. Huh? And he says that also he will perform deity worship, or meditate on himself. But we cannot do that. We were reading that in Vrindavan prior to coming here in the Philippines, whereby his body is not different from within. There is no difference. That's why Krishna is the absolute, supreme, absolute truth. But for us, we have to meditate on the Supreme Lord. Hmm. Meditate on the Supreme Lord, especially unto his lotus feet, because this is the refuge, this is the shelter of all the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Hmm. Meditation on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And as Grihastas, it is also enjoined to have deity worship at home. But if one lives nearby a temple, then your deities will be the deities at the temple. Hmm. In different yugas, yeah, deity worship also is being emphasized. It's like in Dwapara Yuga, or before that in Treta Yuga, sacrifices, yagya, or in Satya Yuga, the process by which one can be delivered is by meditation. In Kali Yuga, we can also accomplish uh, how to get out of this material world by following Lord Chaitanya's message of Sankirtan Yagya, uh, chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And everyone, regardless of one's position in life, one can perform this Sankirtan Yagya, chant the holy name of the Lord, and offer your food to Krishna. Offer your food to Krishna. This is a sacrifice in the age of Kali, Sankirtan Yagya. And by eating only prasad, food offered to the Lord, um, no one can go back to Godhead. This is the prescribed method in this day and age. And definitely, one should be able to maintain oneself by all of these different activities that one perform in the Grihasta ashram, provided that Krishna becomes the center of one's life. And ultimately, one has to learn how to become detached. Um, it's not that we don't care, but the affection should be in such a way that Krishna will become the center of one's life. Otherwise, if the attachment is with the bodily designation, then or with the how to increase only material sense enjoyment, then one will not be able to develop love for Krishna. Hmm. So we should not be so anxious about economic development and unnecessarily wasting time and energy with the risk, as Prabhupada says, of falling down in the cycle of birth and death. So Grihastas, having this privilege or license for sense enjoyment, but one's life should be also regulated, not to overdo it unnecessarily, so that one will, at the time of one's death, be able to remember Krishna. Uh, Even one can become Krishna conscious. One does not necessarily wait until the time of death, because everything that we do, this is our motto, this is our slogan, always remember Krishna and never forget Him. And whatever we're doing every day actually determines what we're going to be in our next life. So for devotees, there is no difference in this life and the next. One only continues to serve the Supreme Lord. But if one misses that opportunity to understand that my main duty is to serve the Supreme Lord and help others, help others to go back home, back to Godhead, even in the Grihastha ashram, they won't guarantees or guaranteed in the association of advanced devotees by taking shelter of them. No one is guaranteed to go back home, back to Godhead. This is the main import of this verse. And I will stop here now if there is any questions or comments. Any question? Raise your hands. Try to monitor.
For this very, very wonderful session. Yes, Conrad, there are some hand raises. I ask Pratika Gauranga, you can please ask your question, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol,
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I have two questions.
Hmm.
First, is the attachment to the family is good if we engage them in Krishna consciousness? First. And second,
What's that again? What was the first question?
Is the attachment to the family good if we engage them in Krishna consciousness?
Oh, yes, yes. That is the ideally. Ideally, one should be doing that, and it is not so easy because each and every one of us in the family. I was mentioning that earlier in one of our meetings that we took birth in a certain family because there is a collective karma that we have to burn or receive, um, either in sorrow or in joy, and you will not take birth in a different family if you don't have that collective karma with each and every members of the family. So how to, because we're all different in a sense, we're all unique, but then we should be all having the same aim, to purify our existence so that we'll be eligible to see Krishna one day. So um, attachment should be how one can help each other to be Krishna conscious. We should all be like in the same wavelength. But somehow the onus should be from the father to do this. The father says the head of the family. So ideally, he should be Krishna conscious. And with the help of the wife, they will perform um, devotional service and also try their very best to raise the children to be also Krishna conscious. This is their main duty because, yes, it says in the Shastra, one should not be a king, one should not be a guru or a teacher, one should not be a parent if he cannot release his subjects from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So that attachment should be with Krishna, but attachment on the bodily platform because this is the tendency. I want to make my family happy. And for that purpose of making them happy in Krishna consciousness, but not materially. Otherwise, we'll just get more and more entangled in this material world. So that should be the attachment. That love is there because Krishna is the center. Um, I know some families are like this. You know, the children they grow up and they still follow in the footsteps of their parents, and um, and they're blessed in that way. Others, some kind of like diversion or just being lazy to practice Krishna consciousness. The children knows that yes, this is what I should be doing, but I want to enjoy a little bit, and they forget the purpose of the human form of life. They take it easy. That it says, "Oh, I have time. When I get old, I will surely try to be Krishna conscious." So the attachment uh, should be to Krishna, not for sense enjoyment. That is genuine attachment. So that's why he says in the purport, one should be a little extra careful because sometimes they're overwhelmed. They think that I was talking with one devotee family. I told the mother that you have enough money for the rest of your life to be maintained. You don't need to be working hard because every time I visit them, oh, they're busy. My children are busy. Well, we should be busy also for Krishna because it says there even the elephant and ant they eat. They don't put their money in the stock exchange or they don't invest in bitcoins, but they survive. Krishna maintained them. So if those other living entities are being maintained, um, why not me? But I have to work, but don't work too hard. Okay, don't work too hard that one will miss the opportunity in this human form of life. See, it's a two-way street. The children also should follow the parents. Yeah, respect them and honor them. That sometimes children they don't want to listen to their parents. They will say, "I know what I'm doing. You don't have to tell me anything." Hmm?
Maharaj, if the parents are not devotee, in that case, what will one do? And if the children are becoming devotee due to their
Yeah,
past karmas,
yeah.
then in that case,
Yes. Sometimes this happen also, but if the parents value the children's choice of way of life, then they also get credited. They may not take up to the process of bhakti in this lifetime, but having a child to be a devotee increases more their chance also that they'll become devotees. because of the children. Um, this is the name. The story of Prahlad Maharaj. He was able to also save Hiranyakashipu because he was given um, benediction. He was asked by Lord Nishingaden, what benediction you want? But Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I don't want any benediction because it'll be just like a business transaction. So, but if you're gonna give me a benediction, I want everyone to go back home, back to Godhead, including my father. That is not so easy. Because he has a very high level of love towards Supreme Lord. If you have love for Krishna, you have love for everyone, including your family, your friends, and loved ones. Um, you're not selfish in that way. Yeah, you want everyone to go back home, back to Godhead. Even if you say, "Oh, I'll be left behind." There is this one devotee like that, Vasudeva Dutt. He says that, "Oh, let all the sinful reactions of every living entities be transferred to me. Let them go back home, back to Godhead." So in the family, the weight is that being carried most by the father and the mother, and the children should reciprocate. And if the children are devotees and the parents are not, then that is good also. I mean, it's not good that the parents are not devotees, but the children will be able to carry the parents, lift the parents. Uh, Maybe not in this lifetime, but in the future, especially if they're favorable. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. I'm satisfied with the answer. And there's one more question, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Yes. Uh, in the purport, it was written, one should be satisfied with the food Supreme Lord has given. But
Yeah.
what about the one who is begging? Is it his destiny or his quota, or is he is foolish to beg when he knows that Supreme Lord will be giving him the food?
Yeah. So, due to karma, we are all reaping the reaction from our past. So, materially, we're not equal. Spiritually, we're all equal. Materially, some are more miserable, have more sufferings than the others. But a simple devotee, he may not have all of these different opulences or wealth. There's a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kolavecha Sridhar, who was an eternal associate of the Supreme Lord, and his main business was to sell banana products, and he will give 50%, as we mentioned in the class or in this meeting. He'll give 50% for the worship of Ganga, and what he earns is very little. It's like I was in Manila just recently. I returned back here, my hometown. I've seen so many people that they're all trying to make a way of living to exist in order for them to live. But some they have big, they work in big offices, buildings. Some of them they the way of living is selling foodstuffs like street food. So, but if a person who's selling like simple things and he is Krishna conscious, he is satisfied compared to the person who's working in a corporate world. Let's say you're like a banker or CEO, but you don't follow the process of bhakti. You don't surrender to Krishna. Then again, it's relative. those who are uh, actually, it says that the more one fallen is, then the more he is fortunate to receive Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And he is satisfied when he receives the mercy of the Lord and his devotees just by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and offering his food to Krishna. He may have very little, but he is satisfied compared to the person who is like, white collar job, but no Krishna. He will never be satisfied. It doesn't matter. It's like recently there was a big fire. You must have heard this, right? There's a big fire in California. Yeah? I think you're muted. You're muted? Yes.
Yes, Maharaj, in
Yeah, yeah,
California,
yeah,
Los
yeah.
Angeles.
They denied, actually, they denied the existence of God. And when the host, she was saying about that, no one thanks God, zero comment thanking God. And she was saying that, oh, this is a godless civilization. Most of them were laughing. They think it is a joke. It is not a joke. Yeah. So most of these celebrities, their houses worth millions of dollars were burnt to ashes. Are they satisfied? No, because they don't know that this is their karma, that Krishna is behind all of this due to our misuse of this body. The body should be utilized in serving the Lord, our senses, our mind, intelligence, and everything. Anyone who does that, he is satisfied, regardless of his position, whatever karma materially he has in this lifetime. He can be the poorest of the poor, and he is satisfied compared to those who seems to be materially very affluent. Hmm? No, there is no satisfaction for them. Our motto is simple living, high thinking. Their motto is high living and simple thinking. So you cannot be satisfied in that way. Yes? Any other
Thank you so
question?
much, Maharaj.
Hare
Seeking
Krishna.
your blessings, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Who else has a question there?
Maharaj, we were talking about one who loves Krishna, loves everyone.
Yes.
And yeah, that is our mood, that is the devotee should concentrate on.
Yes.
And I would like to understand that a devotee also expects love from Krishna. And
Krishna says, I
so,
cannot repay you. I cannot repay you. It's impossible for Krishna to repay his devotees. But Krishna says that I will bless you, give you benediction that you continue what you're doing to serve me. Actually, serving Krishna, the devotee experience more happiness than Krishna. He says that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. By seeing the beauty of Lord Krishna, the gopis' beauty enhances more, 10,000 times more, much more. And then they become happy. And then when Krishna sees the happiness of the gopis, Krishna's beauty increases more and he also become happy in that way. But when the gopi sees the beauty of Krishna increases more and happy, uh, their happiness is much more. The devotee's happiness is more than Krishna, so to speak. There's no, we're not competing, but this is the result automatically. We don't have to endeavor for that, but automatically it's being rewarded to the devotee who's serving Krishna without any ulterior motive, without personal agenda, just to serve and make Krishna happy. They're already happy automatically. Like, when you want to cook nice boga, Raj boga offering for the Lord, sometimes those actually who cook, they're already satisfied by serving devotees. They don't need to eat. They feel like very full, huh? Because, of that love, that reciprocation. So Krishna and his devotees are like that. Krishna is, another name for Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He wants to please his devotees also. Much more. And that serving Krishna pleases the devotees. That is the reward, actually. That's why we're chanting. O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. That is our prayer, isn't it? When we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that alone makes the devotee extremely happy when they do service to the Lord and his devotees. Both. Okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Next.
Thank you. Anything else from our other devotees there?
Yes, Maharaj.
Did you see a
Hemani
lot?
Gopeshwari Mataji, you can please ask your question. Hemani Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nectarian class. Maharaj, I just wanted to have some understanding that there are people who get very favorable environment for practicing Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
And there's others who don't get as favorable an environment.
Yes.
Is it also karmic?
Karma?
Is it because of the karma?
Yes, also. That's part of it. But you see, a devotee, it doesn't matter where he is. He can be in a hellish condition, but he's not in a hellish condition. The environment may be like looking like it is really hellish compared to others that may be living in Vrindavan, both trying to serve the Supreme Lord according to the direction of the authorities or advanced devotees. And there's no difference. There's no difference. Ah, in the beginning, we may see, oh, there is some like discrimination here. Why why am I in this environment? Well, I wish I'm in Vrindavan, but you cannot go there. But you see, when you serve the Supreme Lord, you are in Vrindavan, regardless of where you are. But this takes a lot of spiritual maturity to understand, realize this. Um, However, for others, that's why it says that from time to time you come to the holy dam and get your battery recharged, spiritual battery, because it is needed. It becomes depleted um, gradually if you live in an environment like, especially in the city. I was in Manila. I really admire those devotees who live in Manila or in big cities. They're trying to become Krishna conscious, and it's not so easy because the environment in big cities is a mode of passion and ignorance. We want to be in the mode of goodness, at least, so that we can go ultimately in the pure goodness. So one has to be more spiritually strong than ever. You have to really rise up early in the morning, give this example, you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, worship the Lord. Read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam regularly in the association of devotees and also individually. So it doesn't matter which environment you live, it's Vaikuntha. This is the devotee's vision. He's not affected by the environment. But for the materialist, definitely, if you're in the city and you're not practicing Krishna consciousness, that is really hellish. That is very difficult. You just go with the flow. Devotee, they don't go with the flow. They go against the flow of Maya. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Do you understand?
Yes, Maharaj. Very helpful.
Okay.
So much.
So don't give up. Meaning that, it's like, I know one devotee, he lives in a very affluent city, lots of money to earn, but he's stuck. He cannot get out. He cannot get out. He wants to go as soon as possible to the holy Dham, but he has some responsibilities that he needs to tend to, like helping his family or, and so on. What to do? So have to be patient, but be focused. Be focused towards that vision to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, any other question? Haribol?
Thank you, Maharaj. I don't see any other hand raises or questions.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe they want to go home now or something. I have to chant more Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Maharaj, for your valuable time and association. And we really feel whenever we see, we feel the presence of Dham in our home also by seeing you in the monitor. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Maharaj, for giving your time and association.
Yes, I hope the best for everyone.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All take care, all of you. Dandavats. Dandavats. Hare Krishna. See you all. Haribol. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Okay, we end here now also well. Hari Hari. Good night from the Philippines. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari.